focused during the waves, and in between I was happy and smiling and talking and fine. If you do end up feeling like you need an epidural, I still feel like this program is really helpful and great leading up to that point. Hey guys, it's Monica and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be sharing all about Hypnobirth and my experience using Hypnobabies. If you're new to my channel, I post new videos twice a week on peaceful parenting, healthy living, and life with little ones, and would love for you to consider subscribing. And don't forget to hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so you get a notification every time I post new videos and you never miss any useful tips. Okay, so what is Hypnobirthing, Hypnobabies anyway? Let's start out by talking about hypnosis, which I never really would have given any credit to or even probably tried had it not been for a fascinating experience in one of my nursing school classes where we had a hypnotist come in and do a demonstration for our class. She did the hypnosis on several students, but the one that got me involved a hemostat, which looks like this. And to the layperson, a hemostat is basically a really strong clamp used in the medical community. So the hypnotist had asked for a volunteer, and one of the students had volunteered and gone to the front of the class. Before she hypnotized him, she told him she was going to take the hemostat and clamp it on his hand right here, and to let her know when it hurt so that she would stop. Before she hypnotizes him, she puts the clamp on and she barely closes it before he's like, ow, okay, that's too hard, stop, and she stops. Then she puts him under hypnosis and does it again, but this time she clamps the hemostat closed and starts to twist, and the student said nothing. I was honestly like, whoa, I guess this stuff really does work, because when she took the clamp off, you could see the compression area from his hand where this clamp had been so tight, which he had previously not been able to tolerate, and once he was hypnotized, he didn't feel it at all. So honestly, I don't know if it wasn't for this experience if I would have even considered Hypnobabies, because I wouldn't have maybe believed that it would work. But when you think about it, pain is really just our brain's way of interpreting signals sent to it and then giving us a message that we're feeling pain. So in a sense, it really is kind of a mind over matter thing. Easier said than done, I know, but as far as brain science, it's a really interesting concept. Given all of this information, I decided to give this thing a go. As I have stated in other videos, I am really truly a no pain hero. I think I have a low pain threshold, and the idea of a comfortable, easy, natural childbirth was very intriguing to me. And I also really like the idea of avoiding an epidural, because the thought of having a needle put into my back and being paralyzed from the waist down was also not an appealing thought. So the way I think of hypnobirthing is basically a deep form of meditation or a very, very deep relaxation to train your brain to relax and reframe childbirth and your own experience with it in your own head. And it's not like you're like in this trance or something like that, like where you kind of think of hypnosis where you're just like in this trance. Hypnobabies actually utilizes something that they call eyes open hypnosis. And this is where you can walk, you can talk, you can move around, you don't have to be still or quiet, but you're still in that hypnotic state or that deeply relaxed state. There are two ways to do Hypnobabies, and one is to take classes, but I actually chose the other way, which was the home study course. I just thought the home study course was more appealing to me because I could go at my own pace and do it in the comfort of my home. I just felt for me that the self-directed form of childbirth would probably be more conducive to my own style, though I did hire a doula that was trained in hypnobirthing. And one thing that I really appreciate about this Hypnobabies home study course is that it was a complete childbirth class in and of itself. And there was no need to take any additional hospital childbirth or any other childbirth classes because it was a complete system. In fact, they actually recommend not taking any outside classes, as the language and the approach would be contradictory. So when you start Hypnobabies, this is the book that you get. You read a section in the book each week, or as I did every other week since I started a bit early. My husband and I spend one day every 2 weeks reading through the book and doing the track associated with that section. This would generally take us about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It is encouraged to do the home study course with a birthing partner, so it doesn't have to be a spouse necessarily, but just who plans to be there with you at your time of birth. So for the next week, or in my case 2 weeks, depending how you space it out, I would just listen to the track associated with that section every night before moving on to the next section. So you do need to practice this daily, but the great part about it is that you're listening to these really soothing and relaxing tracks, and after you hear it fully awake one time, they say that it's okay to fall asleep while you're listening to it. So my routine was just to put it on before bed and listen to it as I went to bed, and I would almost always fall asleep. This routine of reading and doing the tracks every night is repeated for 5 weeks. The program comes with a workbook and a slew of other helpful materials, including things to take to the hospital and additional tracks and everything you need when it's game time. So one of the things that I loved most about this program was, in addition to the track that you listen to daily associated with learning the technique, you also listen to a joyful pregnancy affirmations track every single day. I probably could consider this a little bit cheesy, or like, does that really work? But to be honest, it was so helpful and I loved it so much. This one you can listen to while you're driving, while you're cleaning, while you're doing whatever, because you don't have to be in a relaxed state. It's just positive affirmations helping you to stay focused, to stay positive, and eliminate fear. And this was really helpful to me, coming from my perspective and my years of work in the NICU, where I saw a lot of really hard cases. Another great thing that you'll learn through the program is creating your bubble of peace. When we get pregnant, for some reason, we're often bombarded with these stories from friends and family and people who've had kind of traumatic or horrible birth experiences or birth stories. And given all of the media attention around how horrible birth can be and all of these things, this can put a lot of fear into a person who's pregnant and has to go through this within the next 9 months. To counter this, you basically create this positive mental state and attitude to block out all of the negative and help yourself reframe your view of childbirth in a positive light. And this brings me to another great point that you'll learn in the book, which is also a part of Ina May Gaskin's book, Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, which is awesome and really helpful. And that is learning about the fear, tension, pain cycle. And this is basically when you have a fear about childbirth or anything really, you naturally tense up. And that tension can cause pain in your body. And the pain that you feel causes more fear, which causes more tension and more pain. So if tension in childbirth, this is doing the exact opposite of what your body is trying to do. So you're kind of working against your body, since your body needs to be able to relax and open up for the birthing process to happen. The goal is to reframe how you feel contractions, and this is why you don't even say contractions, you say waves in the Hypnobabies world. And this is to help you remember that nothing is wrong. So typically when you feel pain, it's because something is wrong, and that's why you tense up. Just being able to relax and let your body do what it's supposed to do. This was hugely beneficial to me in both of my birthing experiences. So you can start the program as late as 35 weeks, assuming you make it to 40 weeks, as you'll need 5 weeks of practice. I started super early at 20 weeks, and I liked that because there was a nutritional element to it that I thought was really helpful, as well as having 20 weeks of hearing those birthing affirmations. I spaced each section out over 2 weeks instead of 1 week so that I had a lot of extra time to practice, and was done with the program by 30 weeks. So I did 10 weeks of maintenance. So if you do start early, there's a maintenance CD that you do need to continue to do every day until your birthing time. But like I said, you can literally practice this in your sleep once you've listened to the track once. And the daily practicing is actually a great relaxing tool for pregnant women anyway. As for my own experience in the application of Hypnobabies in my birth, with my first I ended up needing to be induced at 41 and 3 weeks. With that automatically came Pitocin, which really changed the birthing experience for me. And with this one, I just didn't feel like I was able to ride the waves like with my second, which I'll tell you about in a second. I personally wasn't able to apply the methods during my actual birthing time for this birth, and ended up happily requesting epidural. Even given all of that, I did still feel that the course was extremely helpful to me, and that it was so educational. And I think the biggest benefit that it gave me for that birth was obviously the education, but how it helped me eliminate fear around my birth. We ended up having a few nerve-wracking complications when it came to the birthing time, but I was easily able to stay calm and believed everything would be okay, and it was. And my baby had meconium, he had B cells, and he had a tight nuchal cord, which is when the cord is wrapped around the baby's neck. And without Hypnobabies, honestly, maybe it would have been in a panic, just because of my experience in the NICU and all of the worst case scenarios that would have been going through my mind. But I didn't. I remained calm and positive, and he came out and he was perfect. With my second, I was very happy that I went into labor naturally, and I ended up having a really positive, beautiful experience, and I felt it was the experience that I had heard about with Hypnobabies and hypnobirthing. I was easily able to ride the waves and stay in front of the contractions, and I truly had a largely comfortable and easy 10-hour labor. I never felt in this experience that I needed to have the epidural. And I could stay focused during the waves, and in between I was happy and smiling and talking and fine. This is all up until the water broke 2 minutes before my baby was born and I had to push her out. At which point, I would say Hypnobabies did go out of the window, and the pushing phase was very intense. Luckily, it was only 2 minutes out of a 10-hour labor, so I will take that. All in all, I would definitely recommend Hypnobabies, even with my 2 very different experiences. It helped me keep my fear at bay, helped me to relax and to reduce any stress. And it helped me to mostly eliminate my ironic fear of needles, blood draws, and shots. And I say ironic because I worked for several years as a nurse and did blood draws, shots, and obviously worked with needles on a daily basis without issue. Even if you do end up feeling like you need an epidural, I still feel like this program is really helpful and great leading up to that point. Even after reading all of these books about natural childbirth and totally being on board, I never approached it like, okay, I'm 100% having a natural birth and I'm not going to use an epidural. It was always like, okay, I know that's one of my options, but I'm going to trust my body and not be fearful and try to go as long as I can unless I feel like I do need it. And I always intended to feel free that in case I did feel like I wanted or needed an epidural, I would not feel guilty about asking for one. For me, I wanted to be able to go as far as I could and hopefully lead into a natural birth, but like I said, I didn't want to be a pain hero and I wanted an easy and relaxing positive experience, and that's what I think I got with both, making the choice to have the epidural when I felt like I needed it and also when I didn't feel like I needed it. Overall, I really do feel like this was an empowering course that really did prepare me for the childbirth experience. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions or if you tried the Hypnobabies and it worked or it didn't work. I'd love to hear about your experiences or answer any questions that you guys might have. I think this is a really cool approach to looking at childbirth, and like I said, super helpful, super informative, and empowering. Alright, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Be sure to check out all my other videos on all things pregnancy and childbirth for even more hopefully helpful insights to you. I will leave a playlist up in the card at the top of the screen as well as in the description below with all of those videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.